Welcome back to our coverage of the 2015 Mid-Season Invitational live here from Tallahassee, Florida, as I'm joined here by Kobe in Monte Cristo. Well, let's start by talking about that last game. We needed a break because, man, Fnatic went hard on TSM. I mean, from picks and bans coming out, did you guys foresee that this was going to happen, knowing TSM's history? Because it was still very risky from Fnatic.
Just seeing picks and bans, I did not expect this to happen. Okay, so Cassiopeia is not a really complex puzzle. Yes, it's something different for the top lane there, but it's something with some pretty easy answers to figure out. She's a very vulnerable top laner. Yes, she's good in 1-versus-1 situation, but if you have a jungler like Rek'Sai, should probably attract some attention up there. And even if you gank her and you don't kill her, you burn summoners, you burn some of her mana. She got mana nerfs like 5 patches ago. If you burn some mana early, then there's no way that she bullies Dyrus that hard, and that's all that you need to do.
Also, you have to consider the fact that you can't run Ghost in the top lane either, so it's only one summoner that you're dealing with, making those repeated ganks even easier and easier. To a certain degree, though, because it was very interesting that we saw the Sion, Maokai, and Lulu bans coming in, because those were the only champions that Dyrus played in the NALCS playoffs, so it was a good test, right? And I guess my question going forward is how well TSM is going to adapt. Are we going to see a situation like with SK at IEM where the same bans kept rolling in and it looked like it had really kind of thrown a monkey wrench into their plans?
I think that TSM will be able to adapt, but I would not be surprised if more teams try to go with that strategy. It's definitely proven to be successful. As for the rest of the pick bans, I think the really strong thing that Fnatic did show was the Urgot being a viable pick for them. That was huge, and the bottom lane also played a large part in this win.
And it wasn't even just the pick and ban either. I think what really impressed me was the precision coming out of Fnatic in executing the strategy. It looked very practiced, very refined, and we saw a tighter team than we saw, I think, in the EULCS playoffs.
Absolutely. Also, just Reignover being fantastic, and Yellow Star with that Nautilus roaming and getting things done. Well, this means TSM, who has 3 games today, has a game versus Besiktas coming up, and SKT at the end of the day have something to think about. Before Fnatic, and I asked them as well, well, you know, were you influenced at all by the fact that everyone was calling you as underdogs? Of course, they just won versus TSM, but Febvin said, well, no, I don't see us as underdogs at all. Top 4, top 3. So the question is, do you think that Fnatic looks polished enough if they go standard picks all around and they don't throw people off? Can they beat the other higher seeded teams?
You mean like
SKT?
There aren't seeds, right? Everybody that got here is
yeah, true.
won their finals, but you're obviously referring to EDG and SKT. I still give the advantage to both of those teams, EDG and SKT.
Yeah, I think purely just in terms of lanes, I don't see SKT or EDG losing lane as hard as TSM did that game, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fnatic definitely snowballing out of control in this one. The next game we've got coming up, though, is Besiktas Esports Club up against SKT. This is a David and Goliath story, if we've ever heard one. Besiktas coming in to represent the wildcard region. What should be their plan coming in here, Kobe?
Going versus TSM? I said they should try.
SKT.
Or, excuse me, SKT. Probably try and focus on getting the bottom lane an advantage. Nardeus has been a big part for them, and if they can get a good teleport, Thaldrin has also had some strong Rumble play, you know, a Rumble or a Hecarim. Maybe you have some hope there, but SKT just looks so solid, and especially with MaRin. So there's something that MaRin does that very few other top laners do, is buy really early home guards on champions that are not Hecarim, just so that he always has his teleport up to prevent things like that snowballing in the bottom lane. I think it's going to be very difficult for them.
Yeah, even on champions like Gnar. So he'll actually forego some tank stats just to use the Rage Bar at the exact right time, right? So they play around that very well. I think that Energy has to play safe in this lane because it's going to be hard, but the strongest part of SK Telecom, where the highest percentage of their damage comes, is from their mid laner. And Energy is arguably, I think, the weakest part of Besiktas. And so having that matchup, he just needs to play as safe and conservatively as possible.
And he knows it. He made that Facebook post. He's got a good sense of humor about it. The time spent dead runes for himself.
That's
please have mercy, Faker.
Yeah, that's definitely the key for them to come in here, relax, and just taking this as an opportunity to show what they got in play versus a team like SKT. We're going to go over to the casters to see that game, Besiktas versus SKT, in just a second. But first, Besiktas talks about what it means for them to represent the international wildcard region and how much they appreciate their fans.
Bundan bir hafta önce Türkiye şampiyonuyduk. Ondan sonra 7 bölgenin de katıldığı uluslararası turnuvada, Wildcard turnuvasında birinci olduk.
Wildcard'ı kazanıp daha doğrusu 7 bölgenin birincisi olmak gerçekten güzel bir duygu. Hani hem MSI'ye katılıyor olmak hem de bu 7 bölgeyi temsilen orada bulunmak gerçekten güzel bir duygu.
Beşiktaş gibi köklü bir spor kulübünün e-sporda önce olması gerçekten çok büyük bir şey. Bir kere çok köklü bir taraftar grubu var.
Ben çok uzun zamandır sahnede oynuyorum. Yani 2-3 yıldır zaten sahnede oynama tecrübesine alışkın bir oyuncuyum. Gerçekten ilk defa sahnede heyecanlandım. Heyecanlanmamam lazımdı ama heyecanlandım. Yani karşımızda öyle bir taraftar vardı ki sürekli beni heyecanlandırıyordu. 4000 kişinin önünde oynamak ve o 4000 kişinin Beşiktaş'ta olduğunu bilmek, bizleri desteklemesi gerçekten muhteşem şeylerdi.
The fans are really nice and they're really supportive and just always rooting for us. That's really nice.
So before I got to Turkey, I used to only compete in Czech Republic, and that was like really easy. There was no competition, no nothing. Now I got to Turkey and it's like better players, everything is bigger. We play in arenas and stuff. We can get to Wildcard, we can get to Worlds. And it's like really exciting to be here.
Beşiktaş Kulübü Türkiye'deki en köklü futbol kulüplerinden bir tanesi. 1903 senesinde kuruldu. Sayısızca birçok başarıya imza attı. Hatta bu kulübün çarşı adıyla bilinen bir taraftar grubu da mevcut. Hatta yurt dışında birkaç maçta desibel rekorları kırmışlığı bile var. Hani bu kulübün bir parçası olmak, bu kulüp adına oynamak gerçekten çok güzel bir duygu.
Facebook'a yazdım, hepsine baktım mesela Fanatik'in. Bir tek Fanatik'in çok beğenisi var, 1 milyon üzerinde. Mesela SKT Telecom yazdım, 50 bin falan herhalde, daha fazla değil. Beşiktaş 5 milyondan fazla. Ki o da sadece Facebook'ta. Yani şu turnuva Türkiye'de olsa onlar bile korkar bence. Öyle bir taraftar kitlemiz var.
MSI'ye katılan bütün takımlar genelinde beni en çok korkutan destek oyuncusu Last Boy diyebilirim. Koridoru çok iyi kontrol ettiğini düşünüyorum. Açıkçası Last Boy'a karşı oynamak benim için gerçekten büyük bir tecrübe olacak.
Yani benim en çok severek izlediğim, idol aldığım ormancı İnsek. Çünkü İnsek'in ismini bir oyun hareketine verdiler. İnsek diye bir tabir var onun içinde. Bence bu gerçekten gurur verici bir şey. İnsek'in Lee'sin tekmesinin tadına böyle bakmak benim için güzel olacağını düşünüyorum.
3 senedir neredeyse bu camianın içindeyim, e-spor camiasının içindeyim. Bu denli heyecanlandığım, bu denli yani gerçekten elimizin ayağımızın kesildiği bir maç oynamamıştım bu Wildcard haricinde. Hani hem maçların heyecanı olsun hem arkamızdaki taraftar desteği olsun. Zaten bunun büyük bir kısmı taraftar desteğine bağlı da hani gerçekten inanılmaz bir duygu ve bunun çoğunluğu Beşiktaş ismi sayesinde olmuş durumda.
And what an incredible feeling that has to be, knowing that many people are backing you kind of instantly. Like they said, such radical expressions coming from their fans, and now it just bleeds over into esports for them.
Yeah, let's not underrate how many teams were at the International Wildcard Invitational, the top in 7 different emerging regions, and these guys were able to come out on top, even though it was incredibly close and competitive. Now they're kind of on the next tier of competition.
That's right. Hopefully those nerves are shaken. We're gearing up for our next match, Turkey's Besiktas Esports Club versus Korea's SK Telecom T1. So let's check out the starting lineups with a quick roster rundown. On the blue side, it's Turkey's Besiktas Esports. That's in the top lane, Thaldrin. In the jungle, Theokoles. Energy in mid lane, Nardeus at 80 carry, and Dumbledoge at support.
Yeah, and of course on the red side, it is SK Telecom T1 with MaRin in the top lane, Bengi in the jungle, Faker playing mid lane for this one, not Easy Hoon.
All right.
Bang and Wolf, the 80 carry and support. And we'll need to see how they handle themselves. Let's be honest, the expectation here is for SKT to roll over Besiktas, but they need to make sure they get a strong pick and ban phase. They need to make sure they can do that in game.
They got to make sure they can play clean as well. We got to remember that the SKT team that won LCK had Tom and Easyhoon in it for all 3 games. This was also the team, though, that SKT used against CJ Entis when everything was on the line and they were 1 game away from elimination. So it may actually be their A-tier lineup, at least according to them, Bengi and Faker.
That's one of the things that gets me about these guys. Some regions kind of put subs in, take them out, make sure they can get the right thing. These guys do it for fun when they want to. Let's put in Easyhoon today. Let's put in Faker today. But it just makes them stronger. Whichever way they do it, they find the way to win.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, reiterating what Monte Cristo said earlier today, the amount of depth that the Korean rosters have and the fact that SKT actively use it in series. We'll need to see between Faker and Easyhoon, the 6th man for SKT at MSI is Easyhoon as we jump into picks and bans. And the Urgot being taken away from SK Telecom, that's no surprise at all.
right away. SKT also on red side here, so if Faker wants, he can last pick and counter. Quite a birthday present for the birthday boy, as it is Faker's birthday today.
Also a nice ban there of Ari by SKT. Energy's most played and most successful champion at the IWCI.
Yep.
Taking their time. This is a little unexpected. Definitely going through the notions.
Coaches with definitely a lot to say in this part here. The players letting the bands go to the voices behind them.
A lot of achievements under Coma's belt. That is the coach for SKT over on the right-hand side of your
Very
screen.
true.
This is a guy with multiple international event wins, multiple local LCK or previously OGN victories,
Yep.
and now looking for another win. I believe SKT has won every single international event that they have attended, and this will be their first game here in 2015, the Mid-Season Invitational.
Good focus on Bang there with 2 bans. Well, a little bit of Urgot to the mid lane if it flexes as well, but Faker gets that LeBlanc ban as well. So you see the priority of where Besiktas really wants to hit SKT.
Yeah, Bang's Callista is undefeated, so it's not a big surprise that they're banning that here. I mean, basically SKT is just banning the champions that Besiktas had the most success at with the International
Morgana.
Invitational. Thaldrin loves to play Riven. That's why he's hovering this. It is his favorite champion. We're hoping to somehow see it here at MSI. I'm a little bit skeptical of the Riven, especially against SKT here.
You mean first pick blind Riven is not on your expectations, chat?
This isn't solo queue? I thought we were commentating a solo queue game.
But with a mix of lane bans and all of the junglers up, where do they put their priority? You know, for Besiktas, we know that Energy is one of the weaker players. He struggled, even at IWCI, against all of his respective opponents. And it was Thaldrin and Nardeus, to a certain extent, that helped carry Besiktas throughout the tournament. So seeing the Sejuani lock in as a first pick, I think that's safe. It's not giving anything up.
Thaldrin definitely came up big for them. Looking now over to the side of SKT, not too many top lane bans out of anywhere. That means MaRin can get what he wants.
We also know that if Besiktas is going to win a game here at MSI, it's going to be through team fights. So the first pick of Sejuani is very smart and sound. It is the best team fighting jungler on the current patch, and a very good first pick for Besiktas.
And currently undefeated in the Besiktas playoffs over at the IWCI, 3-0 for Theokoles with a 76% kill participation. Those are very impressive stats. He's going to need to keep that up against the best team from the historically strongest region.
Yeah, and having MaRin on Rumble as well as Wolf on Thresher, just 2 incredibly powerful picks for SKT. They have an incredibly wide champion pool. The only question I'm going to have here about SKT's champions is, what type of champion is Faker going to play? Is he going to be on an assassin or more of a control mage? Faker actually found a lot of success on Lulu. Interestingly enough, one of the better compositions for SKT has been a bit of a Juggernaut, but with a Sivir involved, where they use a lot of mid-game teamfight power to control dragons, which is SKT's main game plan in most games. And those have actually been taken away by Besiktas.
Lulu and Sivir locked in on that side. Protection here for Nardeus, someone you said was really a big point for Besiktas coming out of the IWCI. Bengi could be looking at that Rex side for a bit of early game pressure here. Would definitely favor Faker in the mid lane if you give him some help. Control that jungle here against Theokoles.
Bengi's most played champion in the last 14 games has been that Rek'Sai with 3. But let's also just add in there's a number of champions he's played, and it is locked in. What I like from SKT, early to mid-game power, assuming you've just got better players, better decision-making, just accelerate the game and win before 30 minutes. And that's what I think they can do with what they've got so far.
Specifically about the dragon control as well, it's another reason I think Bengi's best champion is Rek'Sai. They can use that tremor sense to control the dragon better with vision. Even if they don't have wards placed in certain areas, they can sense and get those wards in safely. They're picking just a ton of dragon fight champions right now for SKT.
Interesting here, coming in from Besiktas. A little bit of shielding and fear from a scary SKT composition here, but also a little bit of go in headstrong as well with a Sivir ult if they can hit it right, and that Glacial Prison coming in from Sej. Looks like they've got themselves both sides of the coin on that one. A great composition to come out against SKT.
I think if they lock these 2 picks in, they've got a lot of strength at multiple stages in the game. They've got a lot of tools available to them, as you've said, Riv, with engage and disengage.
Right. A little bit more there.
a little bit more. I almost would have preferred the Cassiopeia because I feel there's a severe lack of damage now on the Besiktas side if this game runs particularly long. But
Faker, happy birthday, Faker. It is his birthday, and he is playing Azir right now. This is something that Easyhoon played in the finals against GE Tigers. And many people say Easyhoon's Azir is better than Faker's. Well, Faker's going to have his own show right here with the Azir. He's not playing the Assassination type champion. He is going for the Azir, which has immense damage and tremendous zone control. It fits SKT's overall game plan. And maybe let's Faker show off a bit too.
If there's anything that can help Besiktas, mobility from Siva and Lulu, and the range of engage that Sejuani and Na offer you, there are some tools to get onto that Azir, but they really cannot afford to let themselves get poked down, let themselves get in a position where the Rumble Azir combo can just decimate their backline.
Yeah, I generally like the team fighting team composition of Besiktas if they can keep control of the mid game. But if they fall behind it just a little bit because of that lack of damage and because they have so much built in for their mobility, SKT will just run over them with the Rumble Azir.
Already going to be a tough laning phase here for Besiktas, just in skill in general. Hopefully that does not domino out of control for them. This is going to be our second matchup of the day. We just saw Fnatic versus Team Solo Mid. Set the bar up higher than I can really put my hand right now. And now that you have seen the comps, it is time to show the team some love over on social media. Hit up Twitter, send hashtag either BJKWin or hashtag SKTWin to @LOEsports. We'll tally up your votes as usual shortly once we get on to the Rift. The crowd is ready coming in for game 2. They're loud, they're rowdy, and we're about to start the game.
We'll have to take a look at how Besiktas handle themselves loading up onto the Rift. And Jet, you touched on the fact that Besiktas do not want to get themselves behind.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the team, they fell behind often at International Wildcard. They did play from behind relatively well, though, and they bounced back. We rewatched their final against INTZ.
Absolutely.
And multiple times we were going, how did they win this game? How did they win this game? And Besiktas, they found ways to steal Barons. They found ways to stall the game out.
Even if they're down to the last Nexus turret, can't count these guys out. They will stay alive. A little bit of Faker BM with his soldier, but he's dancing.
It is one thing we have to touch on. Every time we have an international competition like this, players around the world are all very good. The things that separate the great teams from the good teams, or even the great regions from the regions that aren't there yet, is everything that happens before the team fights. A lot of times, the setup for the team fights, the vision control that set up ganks, what actually puts people in unfavorable positions to begin with. Because if Besiktas can actually enter a team fight without any predisposed disadvantages, if they're not getting flanked, if they have the proper vision control, if they haven't had to burn their summoner spells preemptively because of something else, then they're actually quite good. And that's the reason they could come back from large gold deficits against INTZ, is because they were finding fights that didn't start with a disadvantage. But that has actually been SKT's forte throughout League of Legends, is making the fights unfair and then still having the amazing and perfect mechanics.
Really hard to find holes in that defense anywhere in the game. And if they do have one, they patch it up immediately, and you see them take the lead once again. We'll start this off. It looks like we will get a lane swap to start, and we're going to get a nice freeze on the lane as well from Nardeus.
So we'll see what Besiktas can do with the lane swap. Things we always talk about, the experience, the goal, the decision-making about pushing those lanes down, and also what you can do against your opponent's top lane. MaRin is already in lane, going to start soaking up as much of that XP as possible, whereas Thaldrin is currently doing the double jungle start with Theokoles. And we'll see who's going to have that greater impact.
Yeah, well, this is a little bit strange by Besiktas right now because it doesn't actually look like they're denying MaRin in the slightest. Instead, they're going for a little bit of mid lane.
Looks like Theokoles and Thaldrin just on the other side, and it's going to be as well Dumbledoge from the top lane. The hits go in. Oh, 10 points to Dumbledoge. First blood.
Besiktas kills Faker 3 minutes into the first game of MSI. Faker does get camped when he plays a lot of League of Legends games. I wasn't sure he was expecting 4 people mid, 2.5 minutes
Happy birthday! In. But the thing we have to look at is what does that cost Besiktas? Let's keep a look at the minion numbers, as well as the farm rather, as well as how the next few minutes play out. Remember, Besiktas opted into the lane swap and then made that aggressive play, giving Faker a birthday present he wasn't necessarily expecting.
They burned both of his summoners too. Unbelievable right there. Faker falls that early on in the game. Honestly, that is what happens in a lot of these games that Faker plays in the LCK, is teams will send 3 or 4 people for him. He will actually die sometimes, whereas EasyHoon is a much more reserved player early, so people don't even, they don't think to camp EasyHoon because he's not normally going for 1v1 kills as Faker would be. And he also avoids the ganks.
And something you also, I think we have to step back and look at, Besiktas playing in the international wildcard. They barely scraped into the playoffs. Bengi does find Theokoles, but no trouble yet. Besiktas went 3-3 in the group stage, and they only qualified in the 4th seed because of a tiebreaker rule, but then they stepped up their game. It does look they're going for Nardeus.
Yeah, Bengi and Wolf have the numbers advantage on Nardeus. Jana is nowhere near. They can see that now. Teleport has to come in defensively, but that's a teleport burn and a lot of experience denied.
Yep, this is going to be Bang in the bottom lane by himself now. See that it's going to be a back. We'll see if they can get themselves right into the correct position after this one. Just a quick move to save Nardeus.
Yeah, just to finish that thought really quickly, a big reason Besiktas improved so much in the playoffs is Theokoles improving and making really strong early plays. They're rinsing and repeating, and they're going for Nardeus.
Oh, he does have the flash. There it is from Bengi. He gets the knock up, the spell shield just a little too late, and spent. Nardeus goes down.
Oh!
He is able to get a retribution kill for himself on Bengi.
With a 3-man gank, being able to get that return kill is another thing that has gone great for Besiktas early on in this game. But with all of that, with the gank on Faker, with the kill back on the turret dive, it's a 1 to 200 gold advantage for Besiktas. They have invested so much in those kills early on.
Thaldrin's Gnar is next to non-impact. Like, he's 8 CS to 30 on MaRin. Level 3 to level 5. MaRin's going to have access to his equalizer. He may even be able to solo Dumbledoge.
Ooh, there's a lot of minions there. Dumbledoge taking a bit too much damage. Good exhaust, but it may have just told him he can go even harder since the exhaust wore off, and he's home free.
Yeah, it's not over yet. We do see Theokoles and Energy in trouble. Bengi's looking for the knockup. He finds it. He's going to get the Wrath down. They turn to Theokoles, and that's 2 more kills for SKT.
Revenge for SKT after that start. This is the cost of Besiktas sending 4 people mid to kill Faker on his birthday, 2 minutes 30 seconds into the game. The dive, well, the kill in the top lane was because Dumbledoge was level 2 since he did roam mid lane, since he was trying to control the vision early on. Everything else, the mid lane Energy burned his flash for the kill in the first place, so it wasn't up on the return kill from Bengi. And SKT now in control.
6 minutes in, things already getting rough and rowdy, gentlemen. 6 kills on the board. We're going to stick to 1 a minute so far. A very nice lantern there for Wolf. Something SKT does very well. This thresh pick allows Bengi to harass all the time like that and get in the enemy's jungle.
Yeah, it does manage to avoid the threat and get out clean. Keep an eye on Thaldrin, still level 4 to level 6. MaRin's going in, he wants Nardeus.
He is just laying down the fire anywhere, knowing Nardeus half health really won't be able to go back into lane. He is completely pushing him off of that. And Energy looks to be using that little bit of help he got early very nicely.
Yeah, keeping Faker back in the lane right here. I do have to say, though, MaRin is going to be a problem.
I think he already is one.
Already has those home guards.
It's because the lane swap wasn't that real. They had a Sivir 1v1 against him early on in the game and allowed him to farm, get the experience and gold. Then he also was the beneficiary of the kill in the 3-man dive, plus the solo kill. Early home guards, he's going to keep his presence up this entire time. And a lot of damage.
MaRin is in so much trouble. Does manage to flash the gank.
Yeah.
But SKT are replying to the roam squad of Besiktas in kind and more effectively.
Now with that help back to the top lane, things get a little easy for Nardeus. He could not stay up there by himself against MaRin right now. As we were saying, home guards already there for him. And we can see SKT with a little bit more knowledge around Dragon. They want to start getting themselves a little bit more ahead of the game. Could see another, now I was going to say invade from Faker, but it looks like they are just focused on the objective.
Yeah, definitely something SK2 do incredibly well is Dragon control. Very early, and there's no way you win a challenge, especially considering the strength that SKT have at the moment. But I just want to hit on MaRin's Gnar really quickly. Again, he's really strong, really powerful at the moment. 2-0 in their last 2 performances with a 9 KDA. This is a champion that he's super comfortable on, and I don't see how anyone from Besiktas is going to handle him, because yes, they have some survival tools in Lulu and Janna, but a good equalizer can negate a lot of that power.
They did not have to move MaRin out of that top lane for the Dragon. They had to do nothing different. Things really
Didn't
going
even
in
need
favor
him.
of SKT.
Teleport wasn't even
No,
available.
Not at all.
Yeah, the teleport advantage isn't actually a factor right here because Besiktas is just behind the curve of this game right now. They're
Right.
still using Nardeus and Dumbledoge in that top lane, yet it's not denying MaRin in the slightest, and they're still getting farm in other facets of the game. That is SKT, which is just increasing this gold advantage more and more.
Faker still even in CS after that death, after a second time being pushed out of lane we saw from Energy, so keeping very strong in the middle for SKT as per usual.
MaRin
That's
does
the
get
overheat.
fucked up, and we do see Exhaust comes out as well, but Wolf is around. Death Sentence does connect. Nardeus in a little bit of trouble as the Equalizer goes down to split them up. The Lantern pulls Wolf in.
Oh, they go right for Dumbledoge. He's gonna go down. Doesn't have anything to use for it anyways, in a great counter hit there by SKT.
I really like the way SKT is actually playing around MaRin when necessary. Once the Dragon was taken off the map, the objectives change and they're going to help out their carry Rumble.
Faker with the blue buff, Energy not with the blue, and that means Faker's gonna be spitting out soldiers everywhere. The glitter lance hopefully giving him the space he needs. Shifting sands will put Faker closer, but he doesn't have that much mana. Energy trying to get away. Energy throws down his ignite. Faker throws down the cleanse. Oh, it's gonna be Faker coming up in the 1v1.
So close.
At least
by
Energy tried.
It's not
At
over
least he
yet.
tried to try and take down Faker. This is Besiktas losing all over the map right here. Turret dive attempt from Bang.
Bang.
Woo! Played it a little close to the chest right there.
SKT playing a little eager here, it feels like, chasing down the kills, but they are coming away with it. Props to Energy for the attempt. He did make that joking room page post, 15% times, spend less dead. We'll see if it works out.
I checked in Champ Select. He is running a real rune page. The 15% time dead rune reduction was but a joke for Energy.
Good branding, good sense of humor at the very least. Keeping up in CS thanks to that very early gank and the fact that Faker did give up first blood. But just after the 10-minute mark, Besiktas find themselves 2,000 gold down. And SKT's power with Lucian, Rek'Sai, Rumble is just going to get even more dominant in the next 10 to 12 minutes. And we need to see how Besiktas handle themselves, whether or not they can hold on to their alpha turrets.
Yeah, and now that MaRin has his teleport up, it just becomes even more threatening. It's now a teleport discrepancy, and this is something that SKT is going to use to their advantage. When Besiktas had theirs, they had their teleporter in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
No good teleport opportunities. Now the lanes have kind of flipped back to standard, but MaRin is head and shoulders above Thaldrin. If he doesn't solo kill him, he's going to use his teleport to go elsewhere and create a pretty big play.
Another thing that's head and shoulders above right now is SKT's wards around the map here. Kind of nonchalantly walking into the dark brush, but after that they have the vision of Energy coming in. Everybody else there to help the fight. A little bit of a disengage there coming out of Dumbledoge as well, but he doesn't even have that ultimate yet to help out.
Yeah, Faker's Morellonomicon there on his ear comes in and does some massive damage, completely pulling Theokoles out of that fight, which then just creates all the more safety for Bengi and Wolf to be that roaming ward squad that can now show up 3 people in each lane. Wolf has hardly been a support this game. He's been a ganker.
Absolutely. Helping Bengi out, following him around, allowing for the deep wards and an instant dark passage exit from the jungle, and they have all the vision they need. MaRin again, whether it's Nardeus or Thaldrin in the top lane, he's just throwing down the equalizer and pushing out his opponent.
40 CS difference and 2 levels. MaRin can have his way with anybody on this map, and Bengi now maybe setting up for Energy in this mid lane.
A lot of pain going on to Energy here. Bengi's floating down. I'm interested to see what Bang and Wolf also do in this situation. They're obviously going to start crushing down, put the stranglehold here onto the bottom lane, but it looks like they actually pull off it. They didn't like the setup, and SKT stops that one for now, but it did not look like Wolf and Bang stopped. There goes the Sivir. They're going in for the fight.
That Glacial Prison does lock him up, but as soon as it does, Bengi arrives for the counter gank. Besiktas not going over eager. Nardeus no heal and not enough hit points.
A little bit of miscommunication there by SKT escaping that gank. Bang used his dash over top of Wolf's Lantern, but they still had full summoners up so they could burn all of their escape summoners, still escape the gank, and now they're going to be prepping the wards for Dragon number 2.
SKT, 13 minutes on the clock, starting to pitch the vision net in Besiktas' jungle. We've seen Bengi counter jungling significantly this game, over and over, and Wolf, as you said, the ganking partner working out. Death Sentence just goes wide, but the Lantern and the power of Rek'Sai in the early game working in their favor. Now MaRin, I think he's going to destroy Thaldrin.
Oh, wow. Hex Drinker popped with 2 spells for MaRin's Rumble up there. Still holds teleport, but now the advantage has been equalized. Thaldrin technically has teleport and would be able to TP into a fight, but he has no... Comparing the power of the Rumble and the Gnar isn't really close in any sense of the word. Popped Hex Drinker and more magic resist versus a Rumble who's halfway to level 11 right there on his experience bar.
Yeah.
SKT in great position for this next dragon.
Yeah, and this is something that we sort of expected from Besiktas. The fact that the laning phase was going to be very difficult for them, knowing the strength of SKT's individual players and their team play. But you have to step back and give some props to Besiktas. They did initiate the lane swap. They did go for that early gank. And they are trying to make things happen. They're just unfortunately missing out on 1 or 2 of those plays, not having the hit points for the fight, not initiating 100% together at times. But props to Besiktas for trying. They're not just laying down.
That's definitely one thumbs up I saw from them at the beginning of the game. Even Energy trying to go one-on-one versus Faker once again. Those chances, those opportunities, a lot of teams fall back and wait for their team to try and go for it.
But at the same time, SKT is displaying what it means to be a world-class team. When your mid laner gets 4-man ganked at the start of the game, you don't just let that happen. You take an advantage off of that. And after that 4-man gank, it gave MaRin an edge in that top lane, which he has continually extended throughout this game. And now SKT is controlling the drain.
Oh, Energy's in so much trouble. Forced to use the wild growth. A bunch of summoners have been blown. Here's the teleport from Thaldrin. He's already in Mega Gnar. The prison catches Wolf and Bengi. It's another kill to Besiktas, but the dragon is now taking down the Turkish squad.
They dove right into Theokoles, and now they're going to serve him up. Bengi over the wall. MaRin piercing the heavens with that equalizer. Now on to Thaldrin. It's going to be Dumbledoge on one side, but now those guys are split. And I don't know if they really want this. The I think I can situation actually falls on Nardeus, and he cannot.
He definitely cannot, as he gets taken out by Bengi and MaRin. We did see SKT securing the dragon in and amongst all of that. 3 kills to their name, and most likely a tower if they stick around. A fantastic team fight for SKT. They accelerate to a 6,000 gold lead at 15 minutes.
Bengi and MaRin are a killing squad right now. 8 of the 9 kills for SKT on those guys, and they ran around the back of the dragon pit that time, while the rest of SKT was pretty much just taking the dragon and crushed that team fight. 6,500 gold now, guys, plus the 2 dragons. SKT looking sharp.
And it's such an easy-going game for Bang. He was sitting on some 2,200 gold for a while. It just shows you SKT's in no rush to go back, try and force more. They're getting everything they want here by letting kind of BJK play the game they want.
Yeah, Bang had actually set on a slightly different itemization. I think they went to Theokoles.
Yeah, he had to use Smite for it, so they could not pass the blue buff over to Energy since SKT harassed it.
And I just want to touch on something, Jet, that you mentioned earlier in the game, how individually the gap continues to shrink region to region. Mechanically, these players are okay. Looking at the Energy versus Faker 1v1 as an example. But then you contrast Faker's positioning around the Dragon fight with Energy's and the way SKT pushed into the objective and played around. And that is exactly what you were alluding to there, Jet, as the game was building up.
So much of this is in the setup and where players get their farm. The awareness of SKT to know exactly what to do in these lane swaps and punish Besiktas for committing to certain ganks has been very strong. And now they just have this monumental gold lead. But they're testing their luck here.
Well, hopefully the monumental fan base of that 47% vote from Besiktas pushes them through here. A little bit of that is what they need. Faker with a nice Emperor's Divide, but it put himself on the wrong side. Theokoles could have gone down, but he gets the wild growth, and I think they're going to continue. MaRin comes in with a teleport.
And that equalizer decimated Besiktas. There's 3 members down already, and Bang and MaRin looking for more. Dumbledoge is going to get away from the culling, but at what cost? The rest of SKT sticking around to put pressure in the mid lane.
3 down, the 4th out of position. Bengi's going to try and chase him down, keep him occupied. SKT just protecting Faker at that point. Everyone wanted to kill him. Dumbledoge, he was trying not to move so Tremor Sense wouldn't see him.
Yep.
SKT
not long for that world. MaRin actually being in that fight. Teleport is down. My mistake on that one. So SKT was already in position to make things happen and still put the pressure most likely on that mid lane and take down the 2nd-tier turret that Thaldrin is trying to guard. 32,000 now to 23,000 just about for Besiktas, and the Baron is going to be coming up quite soon. I'm sure SKT will put the pressure on that as well.
Yeah, and if you step back and look at the game, SKT are not playing safe and controlled. This invade is quite risky for a Raptor camp.
Oh yeah, they're playing with the 7,000 or 8,000 gold lead, knowing they're stronger and almost trying to bait Besiktas into fights because they look like good fights to take. At that point, they had a good Sejuani ult to start. Faker came in with the flank. The Emperor's Divide actually used as a nice defense to make sure Besiktas couldn't chase through after he knocked the Theokoles back. And then you can tell it's just a difference of priorities. Besiktas really just wanted to kill Faker again near the end of that fight, and they couldn't. Everybody ended up dying, and SKT again in the jungle. Poor Dumbledoge.
Oh! Yeah, he wins. They can't snipe him this time. He gets out alive on that one. And as we saw in that replay, anybody hit by one person, no matter who it is just getting zeroed out immediately. Everybody has items to kill someone as quick as possible on SKT right now.
Yeah, but what a big signal on the state of the game. Monsoon just to save the support's life. The Glacial Prison just to keep Thaldrin up, who again is still, you know, a level down 50 CS. MaRin's got a death cap already. Death cap Rumble is not something
Bengi.
a lot of people particularly like. We'll let that one slide because Bengi's been doing it and he didn't have the support of Wolf this time around.
Talking about the hat of magic on MaRin's Rumble right there. Honestly, Rumble has very good AP ratios, and if he's never getting aggressed on, he does have the flat magic penetration. That's the way you shred a team with Equalizer as much as possible. That's one of these things you only do with an 8,000 gold lead, but is also not bad to do with an 8,000 gold lead.
That's what I was alluding to. I know the Death Cap first Rumble has enraged many a European top laner, but 6-0-2, and let's be frank, not the largest amount of damage on the Besiktas team composition. You go back to the picks and bans, there was the hover of Cassio plus Lulu. Lulu top with this scenario, less CSS levels, would have offered more than a Gnar top had they gone that route, but that is of course hindsight. And not the state of the current game we're busy playing.
Nope. See the Baron attempt now coming from SKT, or rather, Baron focus. We saw Wolf's pink ward moved up towards the top side now, so the priority is starting to shift here for SKT as their wards are already far enough forward to make this quite an easy Baron.
Well, Baron's only been alive for
They
40
also have the
seconds.
Tremor Sense and the wards to see where Besiktas tries to come in from. So I feel like they're using this to try and bait Besiktas into a choke and then maybe have MaRin teleport in behind. They have a very nice ward behind this fight for MaRin to TP in on, and then they already catch energy.
Oh, it does look like Besiktas want to re-engage. Bengi's gone low. The Emperor's Divide already used, but there's the Equalizer, and it destroys Besiktas. Throwing those Sand Soldiers forward. MaRin is overheating, but he's got the Flame Spitter ticking. 2-3 more kills for SKT. That's now 10,000 gold in the lead, and anything they want, they can have.
SKT didn't even need the ward to teleport in on MaRin, walked through the mid lane in order to pull that one off. Now 16 kills to 4, 10,000 gold. Here comes Rek'Sai, this is Baron.
It's great getting those home guards and using that scrap shield to get yourself out in the lane. We see MaRin do it all the time. We heard the analyst desk talk about it, and it has been used to great effect this game. Those home guards came out early and have helped MaRin get to that 6-0-4, along with Bengi's help, 6-2-8.
And the second time in the last 5 minutes that energy has been the one that has been caught out of position. Not really respecting the lack of vision or the engaged power that SKT have, as the Baron was secured and the third Dragon. SKT can just start sieging any lane they want to push that in him.
Yeah, and with this Baron buff, I don't expect it to take that long. Taking another look at this fight, though, they really blew energy around. But honestly, Theokoles, good Sejuani ultimate. Nice bit of boomerang there by Nardeus to get Bengi at least low. But at this point, in a choke point against Rumble and Azir, not even a great Equalizer. If the Equalizer would have hit there, it would have been pentakill, basically, right off the bat. But MaRin, as well as Faker, get to use all the damage over the wall. And there's not much to analyze left when you're down 11,000 gold for these team fights.
Well, we are looking for the pentakill or the Baron steal.
That's right.
That's how we get that bonus gift.
Trigger the mystery gift bonus in the store. If a player gets a pentakill or a Baron steal, you're going to be able to get the chance to gift someone, to double the chance, a legendary and esports skin.
If anybody could do it, Faker with Hourglass Morello and nearly Death Cap, or MaRin with Death Cap haunting guys. One of these two could.
Here's the thing, there's so much damage on SKT right now that someone's going to take it by mistake.
I'm a believer, Jets.
Look at that. That's why you build Death Cap on Rumble there. Like 2 seconds of the Equalizer on energy, and it takes him to 30%.
Now the split becomes real for Besiktas. Can they control this? It's been a tough game as SKT put their foot down hard. Seeing that Besiktas came out firing as well. First blood to the mid lane with 4. SKT answered immediately.
Oh, definitely a tough game straight out the gate for the wildcard region winners. Remember, they are representing the 7 regions that took part in that tournament. 6 of their opponents fell. And all 6 of them, including likes of Oceania, Brazil, for example, keeping their eyes on. But look at this, SKT, they've cracked open the base. They're on this mid lane inhibitor. And Besiktas, they can't even start a fight. They need a Glacial Prison from Theokoles, but their energy's caught out and he's down.
Little too close for comfort, and definitely an inhibitor going down here. SKT is actually running by it right now with focus on the kills for a closeout of the game. That possibility is very much in reach as they now head for the top side.
SKT still has a little bit of Baron left. I feel like they're going to take these 2 inhibitors unless they find a fight recall.
Well, at the moment, Besiktas have got no tools left to them. Lulu is down. Glacial Prison is out. SKT still hanging about. Death Sentence goes wide and finally back off as the Baron ticks out. The base is now cracked. And SKT setting themselves up to close the game out. The laning phase, a little exciting, a little over-eager for SKT, but a lot cleaner. The last 6 or 7 minutes.
Right.
Clear baiting around objectives and just strategic play from the number 1 team from LCK.
MaRin had that big advantage in the top lane.
Oh, yeah.
Could then use that for the rest of it. We do have to talk about Besiktas and their road here as well, though, because for those of you who didn't watch the International Wildcard Invitational, 7 regions, Besiktas actually didn't have the easiest time in that tournament. They went 3-3 in the group stage there. They moved on to the semifinals based on a tiebreaker advantage they held over the Australian team, Chiefs, and then they were able to make that run through the playoffs once they were the number 4 seed from the group stage there to become the champions and represent the international wildcard at MSI right here. They're trying to pull off a miracle in this tournament. Doesn't look like it's going to be this game against SKT.
Yeah, the pressure is on. If they were nervous about the fans last time a little bit, they got to be nervous about against this lead of SKT. That last outer tier turret goes down, and they now have their eyes only set on the base. He Emperor divides him off the wall. He can't get through the gate. Faker, playmaker coming up big.
And there's a little bit of personal pride on that one after how well EasyHoon handled Azir in the LCK finals. SKT decide to peel into the base. There's the equalizer down. SKT setting their sights on the Nexus towers. What can Besiktas do to stay alive?
The equalizer completely zoning Besiktas off any protection of their Nexus turrets. The health bars are falling just as fast for them, and they are putting up one hell of a final fight, trying to get Thaldrin down now. Bang is going to make that final shot. Actually, it's Fakers. They focus on the Nexus, and SKT will take game 2 over Besiktas at the midseason Invitational.
26 minutes, 25 seconds. SKT gets their first win. Not a surprise here against Besiktas. The only surprising thing was Faker probably giving up first blood in this match when 4 people arrived in his mid lane. Outside of that, though, MaRin, Faker, the whole crew showed up this match.
If Faker's God, that just makes him stronger, right? When you kill him, he just gets stronger. And that is exactly what happened. Coming out strong, the Azir play, he still had 231 to 147 CS and did not fall behind CS when he was dead in his lane.
So the thing is, it felt like Besiktas had this idea of lane swap and roaming ganks that in theory wasn't bad. The problem is they lost so much at the cost of those decisions. They gave up a lot of CS, a lot of experience, and a lot of gold to their opponents, and SKT just played the mid game very well. A little overeager in the laning phase, but I think they were having some fun with that game and just sort of outclassing Besiktas in this matchup.
MaRin on Rumble, just relieving so much pressure on the map for SKT, being in that top lane. Always pushing out Nardeus, always pushing out Thaldrin. Just Rumble, equalizer, he didn't care. As soon as they walked in front of him, he threw it on him and then won the lane again.
Yeah, and SKT always punishing Besiktas for any positional move they make, even if it's to commit for a kill. They would then use that time to push a lane, get experience where they need to, place wards, and then that always set up the next big play for SKT.
Yeah, and the one thing you also have to keep highlighting is Bengi and Wolf for the first 15 minutes consistently in Besiktas' jungle, almost disrespecting the ability to counterplay. But when you've got that Rek'Sai, when you've got the Lantern, there's a lot of tools to escape. And they were used multiple times and weren't punished for that, which is something that maybe other teams can look to do if SKT make those same decisions later in the day.
We'll definitely keep an eye on if Besiktas as well begins to hone their skills as other international wildcard teams have at these international events. Now, as we finish up that game, we're going to get more insight on SKT's win. We're going to hand it off to our analyst desk.
Thank you, Riv. And before we get into any analysis, we actually have our first MSI big play for you straight from this last game. And it comes from @MontressOmen, who says, wait, what? 3 minutes first blood on Faker? Here it is.
Looks like Theokoles and Thaldrin just on the other side, and it's going to be as well. Dumbledoge from the top lane. The hits go in. Oh, 10 points to Dumbledoge. First blood.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely having fun with it, though. That's the thing I love about Besiktas here, is because they're coming in with the right mentality. You can see 4 people mid lane. They don't care. They want to kill Faker. They're joking about having a rune page with 15% reduced time on death. Like, they are here for the right reason. Like, they are a top team in the international wildcard, and they're coming in with the right mentality that they're going to learn while they're here and test their style.
Absolutely. Now, remember to keep calling out those jaw-dropping moments from the action all week long by tweeting them to @LollySports, and be sure to use that hashtag MSI Big Plays, as well as MSI 2015. Now, turning to the actual match at hand, I want to jump off of what Zyrene said here, which is that Besiktas is coming in with the correct mentality here. They're looking to make early aggressive plays, but have fun while doing it and really stretch themselves as a team.
Yeah, I personally had a lot of fun watching this game, and the first 5, 6, 7 minutes where they traded 1-for-1 and went 2-1 up, that was really fun to watch. And
it was awesome.
Then, of course, SKT slowly coming back, what we kind of expected. But yeah, absolutely enjoyed watching this game. And I think going forward, this is something, I'm looking forward to see BJK face off against this other team.
Personally, I'm looking forward more to SKT. And the thing that's really impressive for this one was there was obviously a mismatch of teams. But at 18 minutes, SKT gets a 10K gold lead. I mean, you don't do that on a regular basis versus anybody. Like, that's such an impressive way of gathering gold. Like, they have CS leads across the board. They've denied experience in every right place. They're getting solo kills. They're playing aggressively. They're using the teleport efficiently. And that's something that these other teams have to look out for when they face SKT, because the second you slip up, we know how relentless the Asian teams are at punishing one mistake. EDG does it as well. You slip up once, you're done.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Coming into this, I think it shows us a lot about both teams. It shows that Besiktas, they're not going to be scared to pull the trigger on any play because they're here for the right reasons. They want to learn. They want to test how far they can push themselves. And I think that teams will watch how SKT played against them and take a lot away, because any other team, you can kind of get into the brawly, we're maybe a little bit better mechanically, we'll team fight you, we'll turn it into your kind of the game. And that's where the game deteriorates, and maybe they sneak a win. Whereas SKT, they didn't do any of that. They stuck in their lanes. They farmed up. I actually think the Rumble pick was really interesting. I thought that they would have taken it first pick. Thaldrin plays a really good Rumble in the top lane. And because we kind of know, even before this, when we look at their teams, Besiktas is a team that falls behind early game. They did it against INTZ. They even did it against Bangkok Titans when they played them in the semis of the International Wildcard Invitational. Get something that performs a little bit better mid-game if you can't get that heck room.
Yeah, when I was watching SKT, I was saying, wow, this is kind of what I saw before. Faker was playing Vladimir in one game, and he got 4-man ganked mid lane and gave away first blood. I think this is maybe something teams can actually tackle on with their early aggression and looking for early kills.
Yeah, but while people are like busy camping Faker, trying to make him an assault maker, salt shaker, there you go. Faker, salt shaker. They're getting other things on the map. MaRin's getting a CS advantage top, and that ends up being huge for them because he starts dominating that lane. Every time they threw the AD carry up there, it's like, oh God, push him out of lane. And then it's like, all right, tag team, here comes the top laner. It's like, nope, he gets pushed out of lane. And then MaRin just started running away with the game there, and he was able to buy death cap on the Rumble.
Yeah, and a lot of what they do is like they don't hit back with the big kills and things, but you see as soon as they go up to the top lane, straight away, 2 people are into the bottom side of the jungle. They ward up everything. All of a sudden, you have one less option in the map. You have to clear out the whole side of your jungle before you can go anywhere. So I honestly think that this was a very good technical game from SKT, if nothing else. They controlled the entirety of the map. Maybe not the champions, but you saw that eventually that stranglehold did take place, and then they were just able to sweep it out.
Yeah, and I feel like this is exactly what we expected from Korea or SKT. They have this really standard play, and they see that they get the kill first blood mid lane with 4 people, and they're just like, okay, this is happening. They play their game, they slowly get vision control, and they punish every mistake, and then boom, 18 minutes, 10K ahead. What are you expecting?
Going into the future, I think that the teams have to stay away from what Besiktas did versus SKT because they were having fun. They just want to kill Faker. They can say they did it. He's a pillar in mid lane. Even if he dies many times over, he's still going to be able to be super useful for his team. He's shown it on Syndra. He's shown it on Vladimir. He did it right here. Didn't get camped that much, but still was able to get almost a one-shot kill towards the end of the game. Granted, it was a huge gold lead. I think they should be putting a little bit more focus into the top side of the map on MaRin. He's shown that when he gets camped, he can struggle to make it back into the game, and he is a little bit aggressive and can be camped out rather easily. So for the future teams playing against SKT, I'd like to see them not so much take what Besiktas did, but look at how SKT plays in the previous game.
I still feel like on the flip side, Energy was at one point 1v1ing Faker and was kind of indecisive. And I think if he was more decisive, he could have snowballed his lead way better.
Let's explore this a little bit, though, the idea of what teams can do against SKT, using this game for a little bit of knowledge. Because interestingly enough, as you mentioned, 18 minutes, they have a 10K gold lead. They are the highest average gold lead at 20 minutes coming into this tournament at 2,600. So it's pretty significant how they build these gold leads. And as you mentioned, without you kind of realizing it, they're giving up some kills, but all of a sudden they're coming out ahead in gold. So MaRin being one of those possible carry top laners, he did get an astronomical amount of CS in a 2v1. I think if we find teams that are more successful in 2v1s are able to keep MaRin down, that might be the window in to beating SKT.
I mean, it's because it's a game of push and pull. You can't put all your resources in one place. They put all the resources into mid lane. Immediately, SKT is not thinking, oh, wow, Faker's behind. How are we going to ever do this? It's like, well, no. They're weak in the other areas. Now, let's punish the lane swap. Let's get an advantage while they focused on one side of the map. And they did that. They put Faker behind, but they didn't intentionally put Rumble so far ahead. And that's what SKT can do to you. They really need to be careful with the resource management in getting a lead, the teams that play versus SKT.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I think that one thing that you can take away from that is what do you get off killing someone? So in that situation, if Besiktas then roam into the top side of the jungle and push MaRin off that turret by completely taking over the top side of the map, then yeah, you say that's a definitely good move because all of a sudden you've gone to your 2v1. But if you just kill someone recall, then you're not going to get that much off it. So I definitely think we agree on that point. Camping out MaRin is an interesting one. I think that they will put him in 2v1s and teams will play the 2v1 a little bit differently. So MaRin will be forced into a jungle follow. I think that the way that you really do beat SKT is with a little bit deeper wards and try and catch out Bengi and Wolf. I think that they're two of the more aggressive players, and I think especially with the control style of some of the junglers, that they are two players that are susceptible of just going on random walkabouts, Wolf especially, and he can be caught.
Yeah. And something I want to bring up, you were talking about this game and its implications towards how to beat SKT. When SKT throw an easy Hoon, it's a completely different team. The dynamic changes, the dynamic shifts, and where they're allocating their jungler is completely different too. Bang gets a little bit more of their gold, a little bit more of their carry potential. So this game, if you're just focusing on this one, it's not actually going to tell you a whole lot about SKT's play style as a whole. Like, it's really difficult to play against them because they're the only team that's really flexing a sub efficiently and using it appropriately. And it's absolutely terrifying to prepare against.
Honestly, when I watched this game, I was like really looking forward for EDG versus SKT because what happened after they fell behind? SKT was together with the support in jungle invading the enemy jungle, and this is something we've heard before. EDG is really good at, and if maybe in the early game they have a goal discrepancy, I see that actually EDG can come out ahead and pull forward from there on.
Yeah, it will be interesting to watch other early aggressive teams punish SKT maybe a little bit more in those early ganks. We'll keep it tuned right here because when we come back, we'll check in with the conversation taking place on Twitter. Then it's back into the action with Game 3 featuring China's Edward Gaming versus the LMS's AHQ Esports Club. Stay with us.
Theokoles and Thaldrin just on the other side, and it's going to be as well Dumbledoge from the top lane.
Who is the monster of the mid lane now?
Look at me, I'm the monster now.
Bengi's looking for the knockup, he finds it, he's going to get the Wrath down. They turn to Theokoles, and that's 2 more kills for SKT.
They dove right into Theokoles, and now they're going to serve him up. Bengi over the wall, MaRin piercing the heavens with that equalizer.
The Empress Divide already used, but there's the equalizer, and it destroys Besiktas.
And SKT will take game 2 over Besiktas at the midseason Invitational.
Going versus TSM, I said they should try.
SKT.
Or excuse me, SKT. Probably try and focus on getting the bottom lane an advantage. Nardeus has been a big part for them, and if they can get a good teleport, Thaldrin has also had some strong Rumble play. You know, a Rumble or a Hecarim. Maybe you have some hope there, but SKT just looks so solid. And especially with MaRin. So there's something that MaRin does that very few other top laners do is buy really early home guards on champions that are not Hecarim, just so that he always has his teleport up to prevent things like that snowballing in the bottom lane. I think it's going to be very difficult for them.
Yeah, even on champions like Gnar. So he'll actually forego some tank stats just to use the Rage Bar at the exact right time, right? So they play around that very well. I think that Energy has to play safe in this lane because it's going to be hard, but the strongest part of SK Telecom, where the highest percentage of their damage comes, is from their mid laner. And Energy is arguably, I think, the weakest part of Besiktas. And so having that matchup, he just needs to...
Absolutely. Also, just reign over being fantastic and Yellow Star with that Nautilus roaming and getting things done. Well, this means TSM, who has 3 games today, has a game versus Besiktas coming up, and SKT at the end of the day have something to think about. Before Fnatic, and I asked them as well, you know, were you influenced at all by the fact that everyone was calling you as underdogs? Of course, they just won versus TSM, but Febvin said, well, no, I don't see us as underdogs at all. Top 4, top 3. So the question is, do you think that Fnatic looks polished enough? If they go standard picks all around and they don't throw people off, can they beat the other higher seeded teams?
You mean like...
SKT.
There aren't seeds, right? Everybody that got here is
yeah, true.
won their finals, but you're obviously referring to EDG and SKT. I still give the advantage to both of those teams, EDG and SKT.
Yeah, I think purely just in terms of lanes, I don't see SKT or EDG losing lane as hard as TSM did that game, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely snowballing out of control in this one. The next game we've got coming up, though, is Besiktas Esports Club up against SKT. This is a David and Goliath story, if we've ever heard one. Besiktas coming in to represent the wildcard region. What should be their plan coming in here, Kobe?
What you need to do.
Also, you have to consider the fact that you can't run Ghost in the top lane either, so it's only one summoner that you're dealing with, making those repeated ganks even easier and easier. To a certain degree, though, because it was very interesting that we saw the Sion, Maokai, and Lulu bans coming in, because those were the only champions that Dyrus played in the NALCS playoffs. So it was a good test, right? And I guess my question going forward is how well TSM is going to adapt. Are we going to see a situation like with SK at IEM where the same bans kept rolling in and it looked like it had really kind of thrown a monkey wrench into their plans?
I think that TSM will be able to adapt, but I would not be surprised if more teams try to go with that strategy. It's definitely proven to be successful. As for the rest of the pick bans, I think the really strong thing that Fnatic did show was the Urgot being a viable pick for them. That was huge. And the bottom lane also played a large part in this win.
And it wasn't even just the pick and ban either. I think what really impressed me was the precision coming out of Fnatic in executing the strategy. It looked very practiced, very refined, and we saw a tighter team than we saw, I think, in the EULCS playoffs. To play as safe and conservatively as possible.
And he knows it. He made that Facebook post. He's got a good sense of humor about it. The time spent dead runes for himself.
That's
please have mercy, Faker.
Yeah, that's definitely the key for them to come in here, relax, and just taking this as an opportunity to show what they got in play versus a team like SKT. We're going to go over to the casters to see that game, Besiktas versus SKT, in just a second. But first, Besiktas talks about what it means for them to represent the international wildcard region and how much they appreciate their fans.
Bundan bir hafta önce Türkiye şampiyonuyduk. Ondan sonra 7 bölgenin de katıldığı uluslararası turnuvada, Wildcard turnuvasında birinci olduk.
Wildcard'ı kazanıp, daha doğrusu 7 bölgenin birincisi olmak gerçekten güzel bir duygu. Hani hem MSI'ye katılıyor olmak hem de bu 7 bölgeyi temsilen orada bulunmak gerçekten güzel bir duygu.
Beşiktaş gibi köklü bir spor kulübünün e-sporda önce olması gerçekten çok büyük bir şey.
Welcome back to our coverage of the 2015 Mid-Season Invitational, live here from Tallahassee, Florida, as I'm joined here by Kobe in Monte Cristo. Well, let's start by talking about that last game. We needed a break because, man, Fnatic went hard on TSM. I mean, from picks and bans coming out, did you guys foresee that this was going to happen, knowing TSM's history? Because it was still very risky from Fnatic.
Just seeing picks and bans, I did not expect this to happen. Okay, so Cassiopeia is not a really complex puzzle. Yes, it's something different for the top lane there, but it's something with some pretty easy answers to figure out. She's a very vulnerable top laner. Yes, she's good in 1-versus-1 situation, but if you have a jungler like Rek'Sai, should probably attract some attention up there. And even if you gank her and you don't kill her, you burn summoners, you burn some of her mana. She got mana nerfs like 5 patches ago. If you burn some mana early, then there's no way that she bullies Dyrus that hard, and that's all